Trumas Perek Hey Mishnah Aleph. Truma Tmeah Shenafla Lepachs V'Meah Chulin. The Mishnah continues the discussion of the previous Perek regarding Truma that gets mixed in with Chulin. The Mishnah teaches what to do if there's not enough non-Truma produce in the mixture to be mevatel the Truma. So Truma Tmeah, if a Truma that's Tameh Shenafla Lepachs V'Meah Chulin or L'Maitz Rishon or L'Maitz Sheni or L'Hektish that fell into less than 100 Sav Chulin, Maitz Rishon, Maitz Sheni or Hektish, Bein Tmein, Bein Tahirim, Yer Kavu. The halacha is that whether the produce into which the Truma fell is Tameh or Tahar, they're all left to rot. Since they're less than 100 Sav non-Truma produce, there's not enough produce to nullify the Truma. Even a kohen may not eat Truma that's Tameh. Therefore, the entire mixture must be left to rot. Im Tahira Hoisa Hoisa. So the Mishnah moves on to discuss situations where the Truma that fell into other produce was Tahar. The halacha in such situations depends on whether the produce into which the Truma fell was Chulin or not. First, the Mishnah teaches what should be done if Truma fell into Chulin that was Tahar. Im Tahira Hoisa Hoisa Hasa. If the Sav Truma was Tahar and it fell into less than 100 Sav Chulin that was also Tahar, the mixture contains Truma, which must be given to a kohen without charge, and Chulin, for which the owner must accept payment. So Yimachur la Kehanim mid Truma, therefore the mixture is sold to the Kehanim at the cheaper price of Truma, Chutz mid Oisa Hasa, besides for the value of that Sav Truma that fell in, which must be given to the Kehanim without charge. The mixture may be eaten only by Kehanim since the Truma was not bottled in it. The Imla Ma'aser Rishon must be given to a Levi who separates Trumas Ma'aser from the Ma'aser. Like Trumas Ma'aser must be given to a kohen. The Mishnah now teaches what should be done if the Truma fell into Ma'aser Rishon from which Trumas Ma'aser has not been separated. If the Truma Tahira fell into less than 100 saw of Ma'aser Rishon from which the Trumas Ma'aser has not yet been separated, Yikar Shem the Trumas Ma'aser should give the entire mixture to a Levi, and the Levi should designate the Ma'aser Rishon as Trumas Ma'aser for the Ma'aser Rishon that he has. The mixture now contains Truma and Trumas Ma'aser, which is given to a kohen at no charge. The Truma Tahira fell into less than 100 saw of Ma'aser Sheni, which may not be eaten outside Yerushalayim unless you're poided, or onto Hektish, which may not be eaten at all without being poided. Hare Elu Yiftu. Then the Ma'aser Sheni or Hektish in the mixture should be Nivdeh. The mixture is then sold to the Kahanim at a cheaper price of Truma, besides for the value of the Sav Truma, which is then given to them at no charge. The Mishnah now turns to the Hilchas Truma Tahira that fell into Chulin that's Tameh. As with Truma Tahira that fell into produce that's Tahar, the mixture is sold to a kohen without charging him for the Truma. However, he must make sure that the Truma doesn't become Tameh. As a rule, food can become Tameh only if it's Mukhshel Kabel Tameh by becoming wet for one of the Zayin Mashkim, which is Yad Shochat Dam, right? Dew, water, wine, oil, blood, milk, and honey. Furthermore, food transmits Tumah only when it's at least the size of a beya. The Mishnah applies these rules to our case. If the Chulin into which the Truma fell was Tameh, Yechlu Nekuda Maklayas, the produce must be eaten only dried or toasted. The kohen may not make the produce into dough since it will become tameh when it gets into contact with water. When it's toasted, it's dry. Once the food comes in contact with one of the 7 liquids that prepare food for tumah, that's machshir l'kabel tumah, can become tameh even if it dries later. The Mishnah is speaking of a truma that has never come into contact with one of the zayin mashkim that are machshir l'kabel tumah. Therefore, it can become tameh when mixed with the tameh produce. So the produce should be kneaded with fruit juice, such as berry juice or pomegranate juice, because these juices do not make food mukhshel kabel tumah. Or it should be divided into small portions of dough, such as there is not an egg's volume in any one place. Each portion of dough is kneaded separately. In such a case, the dough can be kneaded with water because less than an egg's volume of food cannot transmit tumah. Mishnah Beis. The previous Mishnah dealt with cases which Truma became mixed with Chulin, and there wasn't enough Chulin to be mevatel. When there is enough Chulin in the Taruvas to be mevatel the Truma, both the Chulin and Truma are Tahar, and the amount of produce that's equal to the amount of Truma that became mixed in is separated from the mixture. That separated portion is treated like Truma given to a kohen. The rest of the Taruvas is permitted even to a Zar. The Mishnah discusses a case where Truma that was Tameh became mixed with Chulin, and there is enough Chulin in the mixture to be mevatel the Truma. So Sav Truma Tmei Shenafal Seich Mei Chulin Taran. The Sav Truma that's Tameh fell into 100 Sav Chulin that's Tahar. Rebbe Lezer says Taran v'Sisaref. The Sav is separated, given to the kohen, and burnt. Shani Oimer, because we say Sa'a Shenafla Hisa Sha'alsa. Because there's enough Chulin to be mevatel the Truma, all the produce in the mixture is considered Chulin that's Tahar. However, the Rabbanim were geyser that even in this case we must remove an amount of produce that's equal to the amount of Truma that became mixed in and given to a kohen. The Rebbe Lezer says that because I can say that the Sav Truma that fell in is a Sav produce that was removed, that is the Sav that separated replaces the Sav Truma that fell in, which was Tameh. Therefore, the Sav that separated is treated as Truma Tmeah. So Truma Tmeah may not be eaten, it must be burnt. However, unlike regular Truma Tmeah, the kohen may not use it as fuel. He must destroy it, may not benefit from it at all, because then he might come to be mater other Truma Tmeah as well. The Chacham said, Talav te'achal nekudam eklayos. A saw is removed and given to a kohen to eat and dried or toasted. The kohen may eat it because it was treated as truma that's tahor, but it may not be kneaded into dough since that chulin, which is tameh, which comes into contact with water, will become tameh, or tilish b'mei peiros, or he should knead it in fruit juice that will not be machshua l'kavul tumah, or it should first be divided into portions of dough in manners that there's no share of a beya, so we will not be able to be metame, as we explained in Mishnah Aleph. Mishnah Gimel. Saw truma tahira shenafel l'mei chulin tmeim. If a saw truma tahira fell into 100 sav chulin that's tamei, talav te'achal nekudam eklayos. Talav te'achal nekudam eklayos. The saw is removed and given to a kohen. It's eaten or only dried or toasted. The kohen may eat it because it's treated as truma that it's tahor, but it may not be kneaded into dough, since it will become tamei when it comes to contact with water. Or tilish b'mei peiros, or it should be kneaded with fruit juice that's not one of the zayin mashkin, or to schal is kadesh lehev b'makam echi kabeya, or it should first be divided into small portions of dough, so that there's not a shear of a beya in one place, because less than a shear of a beya of tamei food is not mekabel tuma. Trumas perik hamish in the dollar. So truma tmei shenaflu lamei so truma tahira beishamei oitzin beisil matirim. The previous Mishnayos had discussed truma becoming bottle when it's mixed together with chulin. This Mishnah discusses whether truma tamei that became mixed into truma tahira can become bottle. So truma tamei shenaflu lamei so truma tahira. If a sav truma tamei fell into 100 sav truma tahira, beishamei oitzin beishamei say that it's usher for a kohen to eat this taruvis because it contains truma which is tamei which may not be eaten. Beisil matirin, Beisil will permit a kohen to eat it. Amr Beisil Beishamai. Beisil said to Beishamai, Hoylu tahira asular zarmatmei asur lakahanim. We could say that the mixture should be mutter based on the following argument. Since truma tahira is forbidden to be eaten by non-kohanim, and truma tamei is forbidden to be eaten even by kohanim, it follows that we should compare the two and say, Ma tahira oila, just like truma tahira is bottle in 100 of chulin, and the entire mixture is in mutter to non-kohanim, av tamei atala. So too truma tamei should become bottle in 100 parts of truma tahira, and the entire mixture should become mutter lakahanim. Amalham Beishamai said to them, Lo, no. Whether truma tahira nullifies truma tamei cannot be learned out from the fact that chulin nullifies truma tahira, because we can argue as follows: Imhelu ha chulin hakalin hamutar lazarmes tahira v'chulin which has a kula, in that it's mutter to be eaten by non-kohanim, can be mevatel truma tahira. So tala truma hachamura ha'asur l'zar mesatmeya. Does that mean that we can say that truma which has a stringency, which has a chumrah, in that it's usher to be eaten by non-kohanim, can nullify truma tameya? La'achar shahoidu. After Beishamai changed the position and agreed with Beis Hillel that truma tahira can nullify truma tameya, there's a machlekes whether anything further needs to be done. Rabbi Lezer omer terim v'tisaref. Rabbi Lezer says that a saw is separated from the mixture to replace with truma tameya and then is then burnt, and the rest of the taruvas may be eaten by kohanim. But remember, the chachamim say of the v'miyuta. The original sav truma tamei is considered to be lost in the mixture because of its small size compared to the truma tahira. That is, it's completely nullified and there's no need to replace it. Therefore, the entire mixture may be eaten by kohanim. Mishnah Hey. Sav truma shenafla lameya. If a sav truma fell into less than 100 sav chulin, it does not become bottle. The chulin truma mixture is known as meduma and must be treated as truma. However, if a sav truma fell into at least 100 sav chulin, it becomes bottle. Nevertheless, a sav produce must be separated from the mixture and be given to a kohen. The Mishnah discusses the halacha if a sav that was separated became mixed into chulin. So sav truma shenafla lameya. If a sav truma fell into 100 sav chulin higbiya, then after removing a sav from the mixture, as the halacha requires, v'naflu l'makam acher, and he wasn't careful, and the sav that was removed fell into another place, it became mixed with other produce. Mashma fell into the same bin, fell into the same keli. Rabbi Lezer says he creates beduma as truma vadai. The saw that was removed from the mixture is viewed as if it was made up entirely of truma. Thus, it's nullified only if there's 100 sav chulin in the second mixture. The chachamim say it creates beduma based only on the proportion of the truma it contains. Since the original mixture contains 1 part of truma and 100 parts of chulin, the saw that was separated also contains 1 part of truma for each 100 parts of chulin. If it falls into enough chulin to be mavatal 1 part of truma it contains, the new mixture is permitted. Mishnah Vav. Saw truma shenafel l'pachas mimeya v'nidmu. If a saw truma became mixed into enough chulin to be mavatal it, a saw must be removed and be given to a kohen. The halacha in a case where the saw that was removed fell into other chulin, was just discussed in Mishnah Hay in the previous Mishnah. The Mishnah now discusses a case where Truma fell into a mixture that did not have enough chulin to be mevatel. Then part of that mixture fell into a different mixture, can become batel that way. So such Truma shenafel l'pachas b'meya. If a sav of Truma fell into less than 100 sav chulin nidmu, and as a result the entire mixture became a duma, which is also to a non-kain. And then some of the meduma fell into another place, it became mixed in with different taruvas. So Rabbi Eliezer says it creates a meduma just as truma vada would. So when calculating whether the truma is batel in the second mixture, the meduma that became mixed with the produce of chulin is treated as being entirely truma, because it wasn't the taruvas that has less than 100 times chulin to be mevatel. The truma does not have enough to be mevatel the truma, so we have to look at the whole thing became truma. Therefore, the meduma produce is not batel unless there are 100 parts of chulin for each part of meduma produce. Meduma creates another meduma based only on the proportion of truma it contains. As long as the new mixture contains enough chulin to nullify the truma portion of the meduma produce, it is permitted. For example, if one sav of truma fell into 49 sav chulin, the mixture is meduma with 1/50th of it being truma. If a sav of that mixture, which contains a 50th of a sav truma, falls into 2 sav chulin, the mixture is permitted because there's 100 times more chulin than truma. The Chachamim now present a similar halacha regarding dough that got mixed with sourdough. Sourdough, which is fermented dough that was left to sit for a long time, is added to dough in order to cause it to ferment and rise. If truma sourdough is added to a chulin dough, causing it to rise, the dough is forbidden to a non-kayin. Because of its great effect on the dough, truma sourdough is not batel, even only if a very small amount is added. Therefore, such dough is going to be meduma. Sounds like even less than the normal share. The Mishnah discusses sourdough that was made from such meduma dough, which in turn was used to make other dough. So ein hamachumetz mechametz el cheshbon means a dough that was mixed with sourdough of truma, which causes the other dough into which it was added to be considered as being mechumetz with truma, only in proportion to the truma in the sourdough that made it chametz. The dough that was originally chametz with sour became mechumetz with sourdough of truma contained only a small amount of truma. When it turns some of that dough, which is meduma, became sourdough, and is used to make the other dough chametz, we must calculate whether the amount of truma in this meduma sourdough can cause the dough to become chametz. If it cannot, meaning it will cause it to rise. It doesn't mean to become chametz over here, but if it does not have enough to cause it to rise, the dough that became chametz with the sourdough is going to be mutter. So that's ein hamachumetz mechametz el fi cheshbon. The Mishnah continues with another halacha about mikvahs. The Mishnah proceeds to discuss halacha regarding a mikvah, where the same expression is used. Now, as a rule, in order for a mikvah to be valid, it must contain mem sa, 40 sa, which is approximately 150 gallons, of naturally collected water that has never been in a container. However, there are several ways for a mikvah to be valid, even if some of the water is maim she'uvim. That means that water has been in a kli, and the Mishnah discusses one such case. Drawn water disqualifies a mikvah based only on the proportion of maim she'uvim the mikvah contains. That is, the mikvah contains a majority of natural water, which will be 21 sa of water, and 40 sa may be completed with drawn water, but only if it's poured on the ground and allowed to flow into the mikvah. If a mikvah contains 21 sa of water of meig shamim, the rest of the water can be maim she'uvim. However, the maim she'uvim cannot be poured directly into the mikveh. It has to be poured onto the ground and allowed to flow a short distance into the mikveh on its own. It's called hamshacha. But if the mikveh contained only 20 sa of natural water of meig shamim, then another 20 sa of maim she'uvim, which were poured on the ground and allowed to flow into the mikveh is no good. There are many different explanations. The Rishonim have many different pshatim in what this means. Ein maim she'uvim paisel mes hamikvah, but we're going to keep it simple with just this one. And we can mission is Zion. So truma shenaflu l'meya. We learned that when one sa of truma falls into 100 sa of chulin, a sa of produce is separated to be given to a kain, and the rest of the mixture may be eaten by a non-kain. The Mishnah discusses a case where this happens repeatedly. So truma shenaflu l'meya. If a sa of truma fell into 100 sa of chulin, he could be enough lacharis. After removing a sa from the mixture, another sa of truma fell in, and he could be enough lacharis. And then after removing another sa from the mixture, another sa of truma fell in. The produce is still permitted to a non-kain, This process may be repeated as long as the cell is removed from each time a sof truma falls into it, until it reaches the point that there's more truma in the mixture than chulin. So until you have 51 sof truma falling in, when the 51st sof truma falls in, so 50 sof have already been removed from the mixture. At this point, we're concerned that perhaps each sof that was lifted out was chulin, and we're going to end up with 50 sof chulin and 51 sof truma, and being that there's more truma, it's going to be usher to a non-kayan. Mishnah Ches. The previous Mishnah discussed a case in which one sof truma after another fell into chulin, and after each sof fell in, a sof was separated from the mixture. Here the Mishnah discusses a similar case in which one sof truma after another fell into chulin. In this case, however, the sof was not separated from the mixture each time. So sof truma shenafla l'meya, if a sof truma fell into 100 sof chulin, but the owner did not have a chance to remove a sof until another sof truma fell in. Hareza asura. This mixture is forbidden to a non-kayan. Since the sof was not removed after the first sof became mixed in, it's considered as if the two sof truma fell in together. Therefore, since 100 sof chulin are not enough to nullify 2 sof truma, the produce is midoma for Reb Shimon matir. Reb Shimon permits the mixture because once he planned to lift out a sof, it's as if he already lifted it out. Therefore, the first sof is already considered to have been nullified to become bottled by the time the second sof falls in. Mishnah Tes. Sof truma shenafla l'meya. If a sof truma produce fell into 100 sof chulin produce and was therefore bottled, v'tarchnu pachsu, where someone ground the mixture and as a result it decreased in volume. Kishem shepachsa chulin. We say that just as the chulin produce decreased in volume, kach pachsa truma, so to the truma produce decreased in volume. That is, we may assume that the chulin and truma were of equal quality, and both decreased in volume equally, umutter, and therefore the mixture that remains is permitted to a non-kain because there's still 100 times more chulin than truma. So truma shenafla l'pachs mimeya. If a sof truma fell into less than 100 sof chulin, and the entire mixture was therefore forbidden as mitama, v'tachna v'hisiru, with someone that ground the mixture and as a result it increased in volume. Kishem she'hisiru hachulin. We say that just as the chulin flour became greater in volume, kach hisiru hatruma, so too the truma flour became increased in volume. V'aser. Therefore the mixture is still prohibited because the chulin is still less than 100 times the truma. However, if it is known that the chulin wheat was of higher quality than the truma wheat, and the chulin wheat therefore increased in volume more than the truma wheat, causing the chulin to be 100 times the truma, mutter, it's mutter to a non-kain. Sof truma shenafla l'pachs mimeya. If a sof truma produce fell into less than 100 sof chulin produce, v'achikei nafal sham chulin, and afterwards chulin fell there into the mixture, bringing the total amount of chulin to 100 sof, im shegig mutter, v'emezid aser. The halacha is that if the chulin fell in by mistake, it's mutter to a non-kain. Since there is now enough chulin to nullify the truma, the mixture may be eaten after sof produce which was given to the kain is removed. Though it's forbidden to add to a mixture in order to nullify l'chatchila, because in mevatlin is l'chatchila, if it was done by mistake, the mixture does not remain aser, v'emezid aser, but if one does do it on purpose, it is prohibited to a non-kain. Ad kan.